First contact. The sleek Zilithian scout ship Starseeker glided silently through the Orion sector, its crystalline hull reflecting the light of distant stars. Commander Vexer stood at the central command platform, his four eyes focused intently on the holographic display that dominated the bridge. The Zilithians, with their elongated blue-skinned bodies and bioluminescent markings, were known throughout the galaxy as the most advanced species in detection technology. "Commander," Lieutenant Kira called out, her voice tinged with excitement, "we're picking up an unusual energy signature in Sector 7 Delta 3. Vexer's antennae twitched with interest. "Details, Lieutenant." "It's strange, sir. The readings don't match any known species in our database. High energy output, but the signature is fragmented, almost as if it's deliberately trying to mask itself." The commander moved closer to the sensor station, his graceful movements belying his 2-meter height. "Distance, approximately 3 light minutes," Kira replied, manipulating the holographic controls with practiced ease. "Whatever it is, it's moving with purpose." Science Officer Jex joined them, his older form showing the wisdom lines that came with age among the Zilithians. "Commander, I believe we may have encountered something unprecedented. The energy patterns suggest advanced propulsion systems, but the configuration is entirely alien to our records." Vexer considered this for a moment. The Zilithian Empire had cataloged every known species in this quadrant of the galaxy. An unknown signature meant either a new species or something more concerning, a known species with technology they'd kept hidden. "Initiate full spectrum analysis," Vexer ordered, "and prepare to send a data packet to High Command." The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency as the Starseeker's advanced sensors probed the mysterious signature. Minutes passed in tense silence until suddenly the main display erupted with new data. "Commander," Kira's voice carried a note of alarm. "The signature is clarifying. It's a warship, and it's massive." The holographic display zoomed in, revealing the outline of a vessel unlike anything the Zilithians had encountered. The ship was all hard angles and aggressive lines, a stark contrast to the flowing, organic designs favored by most galactic civilizations. Its hull appeared to be made of some dark material that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. "Impossible," Jex breathed. "The power readings suggest this vessel has energy generation capabilities that exceed our most advanced warships by at least 30%. Vexer felt a chill run down his spine. "Can you identify the species?" There was a pause as Kira consulted the database. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Human, sir. It's a human warship." The bridge fell silent. Humans were known to the Zilithians, of course. They were a relatively young species that had achieved faster-than-light travel only a few centuries ago. The Zilithian Empire had observed them from afar, noting their rapid technological advancement, but dismissing them as ultimately insignificant in the grand scheme of galactic politics. "That can't be right," Vexer said. "Human technology shouldn't be capable of generating these kinds of readings." "The data is unmistakable, Commander," Jex confirmed. "The ship's configuration matches known human design principles, but the technology—" He trailed off, studying the readings with growing concern. "Sir," the communications officer interrupted, "the human vessel is changing course. It's heading directly toward us." Vexer straightened. "They've detected us. Through our stealth field." "Apparently so, Commander." This was unprecedented. The Zilithian stealth technology was considered the finest in the galaxy. No species had ever been able to penetrate it at this range. "Maintain stealth protocols," Vexer ordered, though he suspected it was futile. "And continue scanning. I want to know everything about that ship." As the human warship drew closer, more details emerged. The vessel's designation became visible: U.S. Prometheus. Its weapons arrays, while different from Zilithian designs, appeared formidable. Most concerning were the energy readings that suggested the humans had developed some form of quantum field manipulation technology, something the Zilithians had only theorized about. "Commander," Kira's voice was tight with tension. "They're hailing us." Vexor's antennae stiffened in surprise. "They're hailing us? How can they even lock onto our position with enough precision to—" "Sir, they're using a direct quantum entanglement communication beam. They know exactly where we are." The implications were staggering. The humans not only had detected them, but had technology advanced enough to establish direct communication through their stealth field. "Open a channel," Vexor ordered, his mind racing. "Let's see what they want." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the bridge of the human warship. At its center stood a figure that made Vexor's breath catch. The human commander was female, her bearing radiating confidence and authority. Her dark hair was cut short, and her eyes held an intelligence that seemed to pierce through the view screen. "This is Captain Alexander Rivera of the U.S. Prometheus," she said, her voice carrying the unmistakable tone of someone accustomed to command. "I believe you've been observing us, Commander. Perhaps it's time we had a conversation." Vexor recovered quickly from his surprise. "I am Commander Vexor of the Zilithian scout ship Starseeker. I must admit, Captain, your ability to detect us is unexpected." Rivera's lips curved in what Vexor recognized as a human smile. "We've been aware of your observation posts in this sector for quite some time, Commander. We simply chose not to reveal our capabilities until now." The casual admission sent a ripple of shock through the Zilithian bridge crew. The humans had known about their surveillance all along. "May I ask," Vexor said carefully, "what has changed to prompt this revelation?" "Let's just say that recent developments in this sector require a more direct approach to diplomacy," Rivera replied. "We've detected Craxian fleet movements that suggest they're preparing for a major offensive. I believe that concerns both our peoples. The Craxians were indeed a threat, a warlike species that had been expanding aggressively in recent years. But for the humans to have detected their fleet movements before the Zilithians— Your intelligence is impressive, Captain," Vexor acknowledged, "as are your technological capabilities. It seems we have underestimated humanity." "A common mistake," Rivera said, her smile widening slightly, "one that the Craxians are about to make as well. Commander, I propose we pool our resources. Your knowledge of this sector combined with our technological advantages could prove decisive in the coming conflict." Vexor considered the offer. Everything he had learned in the past few minutes had shattered his understanding of human capabilities. The Prometheus alone represented a technological leap that put human military power on par with, if not beyond, that of the established galactic powers. "I will need to consult with my superiors," Vexor said finally. "Of course," Rivera nodded. "But I should mention that our intelligence suggests the Craxian offensive will begin within the next 72 hours. Time is of the essence." As the communication ended, Vexor turned to his crew. Their expressions mirrored his own mixture of awe and concern. The galaxy had just become a very different place, and the Zilithians would need to adapt quickly to this new reality. "Prepare a priority transmission to High Command," he ordered, "and begin analyzing everything we've learned about the Prometheus. If we're going to work with the humans, we need to understand just how far their technology has advanced." As his crew scrambled to comply, Vexor couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter marked a turning point not just for the Zilithian Empire, but for the entire galaxy. The humans had been hiding their true capabilities, watching and waiting. Now they were ready to step onto the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same. The Starseeker's sensors continued to track the Prometheus as it maintained position, a silent sentinel that had just announced humanity's arrival as a major galactic power. In the depths of space, the balance of power was shifting, and Commander Vexor found himself at the center of a historical moment that would reshape the future of interstellar relations. As he watched the human warship on the display, Vexor wondered what other surprises humanity had in store. One thing was certain: the galaxy would never underestimate humans again. The unexpected response. The Zilithian High Command's response came faster than Commander Vexor had anticipated. Within hours, he received authorization to proceed with limited cooperation with the humans, along with a warning to gather as much intelligence as possible about their true capabilities. "Commander," Lieutenant Kira announced, "the human vessel is requesting permission to dock. They wish to conduct our discussions face-to-face." Vexor's antennae twitched nervously. Having humans aboard a Zilithian vessel was unprecedented, but refusing might jeopardize this crucial alliance. "Grant permission. Prepare the diplomatic bay and assemble a security detail," discreet but present. 20 minutes later, Vexor stood in the gleaming white diplomatic bay as the airlock cycled. The doors slid open with a soft hiss, revealing Captain Rivera and 3 of her officers. The humans moved with a confidence that bordered on casual, as if boarding an alien vessel was an everyday occurrence. "Commander Vexor," Rivera greeted him with a nod. "Thank you for your hospitality. May I introduce my senior staff? Commander Chen, our tactical officer, Dr. Patel, Chief Science Officer, and Lieutenant Martinez, our engineering specialist." Vexor performed the traditional Zilithian greeting, touching his forehead with both right hands. "Welcome aboard the Starseeker. Your presence honors us." As they moved to the conference chamber, Vexor noticed how the humans' eyes seemed to take in every detail of their surroundings. Dr. Patel, in particular, appeared fascinated by the bioluminescent panels that lined the corridors. "Your ship's design is remarkable," she commented. "The integration of biological and technological elements. We've theorized about such hybridization, but haven't achieved it at this scale." And yet, Vexor replied carefully, "Your purely technological approach seems to have yielded impressive results." Rivera smiled at the diplomatic probe. "We all have our strengths, Commander. That's why cooperation can be so valuable." Once seated in the conference chamber, Rivera wasted no time. "Commander, our intelligence indicates that the Craxian fleet consists of at least 40 capital ships and over 200 support vessels. They're massing near the Helios Nebula." Jex leaned forward, his scientific curiosity overcoming protocol. "How did you obtain this information?" "The Helios Nebula's radiation should make long-range scanning impossible." "We have our methods," Commander Chen replied cryptically. "More importantly, we believe their target is the Zilithian colony on Theta Prime." Vexor felt his skin pattern shift to show alarm. The Zilithian equivalent of paling. Theta Prime was home to over 1 billion Zilithian citizens. "That's impossible. Our defensive grid has a vulnerability," Rivera interrupted gently. "One the Craxians have discovered. They plan to use the nebula's radiation to mask their approach and overwhelm your defenses before reinforcements can arrive." "And you propose to help us?" Vexor asked, studying the human captain carefully. "We propose a joint operation," Rivera clarified. "The Prometheus and her sister ships can provide capabilities that complement your own. Together, we can turn the Craxians' ambush into a trap of our own." Lieutenant Martinez activated a holographic display, showing a tactical overview of the sector. "Your ships excel at long-range engagement and defensive operations. Ours are designed for rapid strike capabilities and electronic warfare. Combined, we create a force multiplier effect." As the briefing continued, Vexor found himself increasingly impressed by the humans' tactical acumen. They had clearly studied Zilithian military doctrine extensively and developed strategies that perfectly complemented their allies' strengths while compensating for their weaknesses. "There's something else you should know," Rivera said as the briefing concluded. "The Craxians aren't acting alone. They've formed an alliance with the Morveth Collective." This news sent a wave of concern through the Zilithian officers. The Morvath were known for their advanced cyber warfare capabilities. Combined with Craxian military might, they represented a formidable threat. "How do you know this?" Vexor demanded, his composure slipping for the first time. Rivera exchanged glances with her officers before responding. "Because we've been monitoring their communications for months." Dr. Patel, the science officer, manipulated her handheld device, and suddenly the conference room was filled with the harsh, guttural sounds of Craxian speech, overlaid with Morveth digital harmonics. "This was intercepted 3 days ago," Dr. Patel explained. They're coordinating their attack to coincide with a cyber assault on your command and control networks. Vexor sat back, overwhelmed by the implications. The humans hadn't just matched Xylithian technology. In some areas, they had clearly surpassed it. Their intelligence-gathering capabilities alone were revolutionary. "Why share this with us?" he asked finally. "What do you gain from this alliance?" Rivera's expression turned serious. "Commander, humanity has spent the last 2 centuries being underestimated by the galactic community. We've used that time to develop our capabilities in secret, but we've also been watching. We've seen how the Craxians operate, how they systematically destroy civilizations they deem threatening or useful." She leaned forward, her gaze intense. "We're not interested in seeing the Xylithian Empire fall. You've been a stabilizing force in this sector, even if our peoples haven't always seen eye to eye. More importantly, we believe that the galaxy's future depends on cooperation between species, not domination by the strongest." "A noble sentiment," Vexor acknowledged. "But nobility alone doesn't win wars." "No," Rivera agreed with a slight smile. "But superior technology, tactical innovation, and the element of surprise certainly help. Would you like a demonstration?" Before Vexor could respond, the Starseeker's alert system activated. "Commander," Kira's voice came through the comm system. "We're detecting multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace, Craxian signatures." "They're early," Chen muttered, checking his own device. Rivera stood calmly. "Commander Vexor, it seems we'll have to accelerate our timeline. With your permission, I'd like to demonstrate exactly what human technology can do." Vexor hesitated only a moment before nodding. "Proceed, Captain." Rivera tapped her communicator. "Prometheus, this is Rivera. Execute Defense Protocol Gamma. Authorization. Rivera Alpha 77. Through the conference room's viewport, Vexor watched as the U.S. Prometheus suddenly blazed with energy. The dark hull seemed to come alive with flowing patterns of light, and space itself appeared to warp around the vessel. "What are they doing?" Jex whispered, his scientific instruments going wild with readings. "Watch," Rivera said simply. The approaching Craxian ships, a scouting force of 6 vessels, opened fire as soon as they cleared the nebula's interference. Their plasma weapons lanced through space toward the Prometheus and Starseeker. But before the shots could connect, they simply disappeared. "Quantum field manipulation," Dr. Paddle explained, noting the Xylithians' shocked expressions. "We've developed a way to create localized space-time distortions. Energy weapons are redirected into subspace." The Prometheus's response was swift and devastating. Beams of concentrated energy, unlike anything in the Xylithian database, struck the Craxian ships with surgical precision. Within moments, all 6 vessels were disabled, their weapons and propulsion systems surgically excised without destroying the ships themselves. "We prefer to disable rather than destroy when possible," Rivera explained. "It sends a clearer message." Vexor stared at the view screen in disbelief. The entire engagement had lasted less than 30 seconds. The Craxians, known for their military prowess, hadn't even managed to score a single hit. "This changes everything," he murmured. "Yes, it does," Rivera agreed. "The question is, Commander, are you ready to help us change the balance of power in this sector? Because what you've just seen is only a fraction of what we're capable of." As emergency messages flooded in from both Xylithian High Command and the disabled Craxian vessels, Vexor realized that he stood at a pivotal moment in galactic history. The humans hadn't just revealed their technological superiority. They had demonstrated a restraint and tactical wisdom that suggested they might be exactly the allies the Xylithian Empire needed. "Captain Rivera," he said formally, "I believe we have much to discuss, and very little time in which to discuss it." Rivera's smile held both warmth and steel. "Then let's get to work, Commander. We have a war to prevent." Part 3. Alliance in Crisis. The Joint Operations Center aboard the Starseeker hummed with activity as Xylithian and human officers worked side by side. The cultural differences were stark. Zilithians with their flowing movements and bioluminescent communication, humans with their direct approach and seemingly chaotic energy. Yet a remarkable synergy was emerging. Commander Vexer stood beside Captain Rivera, watching as their combined fleet took shape on the tactical display. 12 Zilithian warships had arrived to join the Starseeker, while 3 more human vessels had emerged from what Rivera called stealth protocols, a technology that made their quantum cloaking look primitive by comparison. The Craxian main fleet will arrive in 6 hours, Rivera noted, studying the display. Our trap needs to be perfect. Your confidence is remarkable, Vexer observed. Even with our combined forces, we're outnumbered 4 to 1. Rivera's expression remained serene. Numbers aren't everything, Commander. Let me show you something. She led him to a secure console where Lieutenant Martinez was working. Lieutenant, bring up the Trojan protocol. The display shifted to show a complex web of code and energy patterns. Vexer's technical knowledge was considerable, but he could barely comprehend what he was seeing. During our months of monitoring the Craxians, Rivera explained, we didn't just listen. We planted dormant code in their systems, tiny fragments that appear to be nothing more than background noise. When activated, he'll create a cascade failure in their fleet coordination systems. You've compromised their entire fleet, Vexer asked, astounded. Not compromised, influenced, Martins corrected. The beauty of the Trojan protocol is that it doesn't take control. It simply introduces small errors, delays in response time, miscalculations in targeting solutions. Their ships will still function, but their effectiveness will be reduced by approximately 40%. Dr. Petal joined them, adding, we've also developed countermeasures for the Morveth cyber attacks. Their quantum encryption is impressive, but they're still using base 8 recursive algorithms. We cracked those 2 years ago. Vexer felt a mixture of admiration and unease. The humans had been playing a game so far beyond what anyone had suspected. Why reveal all this now? You could have kept these capabilities secret, used them to dominate rather than cooperate. Rivera met his gaze steadily. Because, Commander, humanity learned something important during our early space exploration. The universe is too vast, too dangerous, for any one species to face alone. We're revealing ourselves now because we believe the galaxy stands at a crossroads. Either we learn to work together, or we fall separately to powers like the Craxians. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. Kira announced, it's the main Craxian fleet. They're early, Chen noted grimly. Earlier than even our intelligence suggested. Positions everyone, Rivera commanded. Commander Vexer, shall we show them what happens when they underestimate their opponents? The next few hours would become legend in military academies across the galaxy. As the massive Craxian fleet emerged from hyperspace, they found themselves facing what appeared to be a modest defense force. Their commander, Supreme Warrior Korgeth, reportedly laughed at the pathetic resistance. That laughter died quickly. The human ships initiated their quantum field manipulation, creating zones of distorted space-time that scattered the Craxian formation. Simultaneously, the Trojan protocol activated, introducing chaos into their fleet coordination. Shots that should have been precisely aimed went wide. Formations that should have been tight became ragged. The Zilithian ships, positioned perfectly thanks to human tactical planning, unleashed devastating volleys into the disordered Craxian ranks. Their superior long-range weapons, combined with human electronic warfare support, proved devastatingly effective. But the true surprise came when the Prometheus and her sister ships revealed their primary weapon systems. Beams of concentrated graviton particles sliced through Craxian shields like they weren't there, surgically disabling ship after ship. Focus on their command vessels, Rivera ordered. We want them confused and leaderless. The battle raged for 3 hours, but the outcome was never truly in doubt. The Craxians, for all their numerical superiority, were fighting an enemy they couldn't understand with tactics they couldn't counter. When Supreme Warrior Korgeth finally ordered a retreat, less than half his fleet remained operational. As the battered Craxian forces fled, Vexor turned to Rivera. "That was extraordinary. You didn't destroy them, even though you could have." "Destruction is easy," Rivera replied. "Building something better is hard. The Craxians will think twice before attacking anyone again, and they'll spread word of what happened here. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is reputation." In the aftermath of the battle, as repair crews worked and diplomats negotiated, Vexor found himself in Rivera's ready room aboard the Prometheus. The human captain had invited him for what she called coffee, a bitter earth beverage that Vexor found surprisingly pleasant. "What happens now?" he asked. Rivera gazed out at the stars through her viewport. "Now, Commander, we build something new. The Zilithian Empire and the Terran Federation working together. We've shown that cooperation can defeat aggression. It's time to show that it can build something lasting." "The High Command will have questions," Vexor warned. "Many questions. As will Earth's government," Rivera acknowledged. "But after today, I think both our peoples will see the value in alliance." She turned to face him. "We've been watching the galaxy for a long time, Commander. We've seen empires rise and fall, species emerge and vanish. We believe the Zilithians have the wisdom to help guide the galaxy toward a better future." "And humanity?" Vexor asked. "What role do you see for yourselves?" Rivera smiled. "We'll be the wild card, the innovators, the ones who ask why not, when everyone else asks why. Together, I think we'll make quite a team." As Vexor returned to his ship, he reflected on how much had changed in such a short time. The humans had shattered every preconception, revealed capabilities beyond imagination, and yet chosen cooperation over domination. Perhaps that was their greatest strength. Not their technology, but their ability to surprise, to choose unexpected paths. The galaxy would never be the same, and somehow, Vexor thought that might be exactly what it needed. Months later, at the signing of the first formal alliance between the Zilithian Empire and the Terran Federation, Vexor stood beside Rivera as history was made. The document they signed created not just a military alliance, but a framework for technological exchange, cultural understanding, and joint exploration. "You know," Rivera said quietly as the ceremonial proceedings continued, "there's something I never told you about that first encounter." Vexor's antennae twitched with curiosity. "Oh, we didn't just happen to be in that sector. We were looking for you specifically. Our analysts had identified the Zilithians as the species most likely to understand the value of cooperation over conquest." "You chose us?" Vexor asked, surprised. "We chose each other," Rivera corrected with a smile. "Sometimes the greatest adventures begin with someone extending a hand in friendship, even if that hand has to prove it can also be a fist first." As the two leaders watched their peoples take the first steps toward a shared future, both knew that this was just the beginning. The galaxy held countless mysteries, challenges, and opportunities. But now, humanity and the Zilithians would face them together. The age of isolation was over. The age of alliance had begun. And across the galaxy, other species watched and wondered. If the mysterious humans had chosen the Zilithians as allies, what other surprises did they have in store? What other capabilities remained hidden? The answer, as Captain Alexandra Rivera and Commander Vexor knew, was simple: whatever the galaxy needed them to be. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage not as conquerors, but as catalysts, and nothing would ever be the same again.